Ever since Stray Kids released and kind of started talking about Karma, I felt like there was going to be something more to it. It really felt like there was going to be a repackage or even a double. And I just want to talk about that really quick because it's been something I've been thinking about even more lately. Right when they showed the album cover, obviously it was very controversial. People didn't like it super much. But my thing is, I think it's actually part of why it's going to be this repackaged album. Because one side, you have the Karma album, and then on the other side is the repackaged version. There's two sides, and that's a huge theme of the album. We saw mirrors in the trailer. We see that the Karma logo itself is mirrored. It's literally inverted on itself. We also see yin and yangs, which is a dynamic thing. There's two parts of a yin and yang coins. There's a head side, a tail side. Lots of things going on with this album where there's two parts to it. There are two sides. And if we're at least looking at the past repackaged album that we had, In Life, that released on September 14th, 2020, and it was an extension of Go Live, which had released 3 months earlier on June 17th, 2020. Now, here's what's interesting. In the music video for the title track of Go Live, God's Menu, they reference In Life. They have a sign literally reading In Life, and then they exit out in the music video through the back door. They show both the album name and the title track in the title track music video. We'll talk about that a little bit more later, but for now, the track count especially. Go Live had 14 total tracks. 4 of those were placed on already. They had already released them in the past, so 10 original songs. In Life had 17 total songs, and 7 of those were actually new ones. One of them, I'm not really going to count it. I'm not going to count The Tortoise and the Hare just because it's kind of a repackage, not necessarily a repackage, but a revision of Go Live, the track itself. Because Go Live originally was a shorter song, and they're just kind of expanding upon it. And what's interesting is that, assuming they were going to add 8 songs to Karma, Karma has 11 total tracks, right? 9 of those are originals. If you add 8 to 9, that's 17 too. That would be a total of 17 tracks, much like In Life is. What's interesting as well is Hollow Korean version is completely missing from Karma. Not added at all. They usually make a huge effort to put the Korean versions on the next project as soon as they can, even if it's completely unrelated. Like when they put out Circus, they put a Korean version right on Maxident. Or for Social Path Korean version came out on the, not La 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 La, but the album, Rockstar. They put it on Rockstar as soon as they could. So it's weird that Hollow would release in June, and then 2 months later, Hollow Korean version is completely missing from Karma. Here's my thought. I think it's possible that Hollow was originally meant to come later. I think it was originally meant to come out in August time when Karma did. And Karma was actually supposed to release earlier in the year, maybe around June. Because here's what's interesting. They started teasing Hollow, I think it was 2 months out, which is kind of absurd. They usually don't tease albums that far in advance. And what we saw for new things with Karma is Karma had its first vinyl variants out of any Stray Kids album. They had 3 variants of it. And you can't really switch up the music quite as well. So if they had switched the placement, assuming Karma was originally going to come out first, obviously they're not going to have a Hollow Korean version on it because they don't have a Hollow Japanese version out to begin with. And here, I should probably explain. The reason they like to put those Korean versions out as soon as they can is because technically they don't own the title tracks when they're in Japanese. Sony Entertainment, not Sony Entertainment, but Sony Music will usually do all of their Japanese promotion and publication copywriting. So they technically can't perform those songs outside of Japan without the right licensing. So if they want to perform Hollow Korean version or Social Path Korean version or Giant Korean version, they have to have that different recording to be able to perform it on the concert. That's why a giant Korean version was included in Mixtape Dominate. They couldn't perform it, and once they had that Korean version, then they performed it. So what's hard about vinyl variants is they take a while to get right. They take a while to produce. And just because you're not going to have one song on it, they probably are just going to skip it since it wasn't out yet and they didn't have it. Holo Korean version will probably be included on In Life. In Life's like extra song will most likely be Holo Korean version, and that'll be that 8th track that they usually add. It'll kind of take the place of what the Go Live and the Tortoise and the Hare thing is, because they usually will put an extra kind of spin-off track on their mini albums. You know, like with 8, you had the festival version of Chick Chick Boom. On Maxident, you had obviously the other Korean version of Circus. Rockstar had the Sociopath Korean version. They tend to do 8 total songs with 7 original ones. And one's either a remix or it's a Korean version, which is most likely what they're gonna do. Because, yeah, Karma's a little bit short, but realistically, that might be because they're going to extend it. And here's the other thing. Yes, at the beginning of the year, in the Step Out, they only said there would be 2 albums. They didn't say if it was a full-length album, they didn't say if it was a mini album, they didn't say if it was going to be a repackage. They were very vague. And what's interesting is, back in 2020, they only considered it to be 1 album being released in the year. Now, obviously, 2020 probably didn't go like a lot of people expected, so it's possible that they decided to throw in the repackage album at the end to kind of make up for the sales. And God's Menu was huge. They probably wanted to slap it on another album, jack up the sales even more. So they probably, maybe they did, maybe they had that in mind still at the beginning of the year. But we don't have any, at least I can't find any necessarily proof that In Life was a idea that they had prior to the Step Out. And the other thing is, if they announce that there's a full-length album and a repackaged album, people will not buy the full-length album. People will wait for that repackaged album. They're not going to tell you there's going to be a repackaged variant of it, because who's gonna buy the full-length album then? Everyone will just buy the repackaged version. You get more songs on it. Another reason that it could be repackaged is in the video, the ceremony music video, we see a establishment date, 1912. In every other instance of an establishment date for the Karma games, it reads as 2018, the same year Stray Kids had debuted. So it's weird to see it switch up all of a sudden. And what's interesting about 1912 is, for an international date, that would be considered December 19th, where you have the 12 and the 19, or I guess the 19 and 12, but if you're American, 12, 19, that sort of thing. What we actually see is December 19th was actually the 10th episode of Stray Kids Survival Show. That's when it was live, that live finale episode. And, get this, Karma released on August 22nd, which was the first episode, not when it aired, but the first episode was shot. That's when the JYP's Homecoming Showcase was. So they're technically connected, these dates that we're seeing. August 22nd is the beginning of it. That's when the Karma games start. And now December 19th, which is a Friday, that's when they end. And I feel like that kind of makes sense for the timing of where Stray Kids are. They're kind of getting close to wrapping up a chapter of their career. They're getting close to needing to enlist at some point. Probably going to start happening next year. Coming close to that 28th birthday for Lino. So it makes sense that we're going to be seeing them kind of shifting now. And I feel like they're going to try and cram it in. What else is interesting is that August and December are 4 months away. A little bit under 4 months. And Go Live In Life were about 3. So obviously it's a little bit different month-wise, but that might just be because it's 5 years later and they don't necessarily push things out quite as fast anymore. Coming back to the ceremony music video again, we do actually see references or possible references to this next album. Throughout the trailer of Karma, we see these banners or these signs that read ceremony a lot. And we see those same banners a lot throughout the music video. And we see another sign that reads pathway in a very similar font and style. But, now get this, this is might be a stretch. Hear me out on this one. Ceremony is red. Pathway is blue. What color is Karma? Karma is blue, isn't it? The album's pretty much represented as blue. So why is Ceremony not blue? Why does Pathway get the blue? What if, now hear me out, Pathway's main color is going to be red. That's the main color scheme of the album. Much like how Karma's was blue. They're kind of switching it here. Now, another crazy theory is when they began their music show performances, a couple of them got different hairstyles. You know, Bang Chan went silver, Felix went pink. That was kind of voted on by the people on Bubble, though, so that doesn't necessarily count. But Changbin went red, Lena went blue. Changbin went red. What was the point of red? Unless it was expanding on this repackaged thing. Hop, as well, their special album from last Christmas, used both red and blue. Is that a coincidence? Maybe. Is it because they're kind of alternative colors? Maybe. Or is it hinting at what was going to be coming the next year? Could it have been that each corner represents the next colors of the albums? I don't know. I'm reviewing this right now, and I just want to pop in and come say one thing quick about this color theory. I feel like it would be a little odd for them to do a second repackage. They've only done it a couple of times, and the second time they're ever doing it is red. In Life was also red, so I feel like that's a little bit odd for at least promotion and understanding of a repackage and kind of isolating yourself with it. Because realistically, how many Pink albums have they done? They've done Maxident. I mean, Rockstar was a little pink, but not that much. They usually try and isolate the colors. So, I don't know. Pathway and Ceremony are also next to each other in linear order. So it almost feels like they're kind of trying to lead you into it. The only times they've ever teased an upcoming release within the title track was God's Menu. They like to try and tease those release dates in the B-sides usually. So there is reason to believe that because they teased it in the music video for the title track, only in the other time there was a repackage, it's possible this is also a repackage. And it's possible, we don't know yet, it's possible it's coming December 19th. So probably we'll hear about it about a month before, around November. But I guess the only question I still have is why? Why are they doing a repackaged album? They've only ever done one, so why are they doing it again? Is there a huge reason behind that? Is there something I'm missing? I'm not sure. It is a little weird that, or I guess not necessarily weird, but it definitely makes me think about how, obviously, there's two significant dates being used here. August 22nd and December 19th, they tie together with the Survival Show. So, I do wonder what that means for it. And, I should go back and look. I probably should have looked before this, but I do wonder if there's a significant date in November that could be used as the trailer day, if you will. I might look now. I have one idea. Okay, I don't know. Maybe. Here's what I was thinking. They had a busking event on November 9th. That was their first main performance for people outside of the JYP home. That was kind of in front of a more general public, with people not necessarily going to the showcase. That was kind of their first big performance as Stray Kids, if you will. That happens on November 9th. That's about 5 weeks away from the album, so I'm not sure. It would be kind of a long way out for them to announce an album. Usually they do 4 weeks out to maybe 3 weeks out, so it'd be definitely a lot longer out, and especially for a repackaged album, I feel like that's giving it a little bit too much time to wait. I could see it if it was a full-length album, but maybe not for a repackaged. But does any of that make sense? I don't know. Definitely let me know if you have any sort of things you want to add to this or you've noticed, because I personally did not notice that the December 19th date was something that they had used for the Survival Show as well. That was something that someone in the comments had pointed out to me. But anyways, thanks for watching. Bye 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 bye.